and it's down to you what you do with it. Like, you can literally go in any direction. And when I've spoken about that before in the past, I have been slammed a little bit with people saying, you know, like, it's easy for you to say that, you know, you've grown up and you've not grown up in poverty, you've not grown up, you know, with major money struggles. So for you to sit there and say that we all have the same 24 hours in a day is not correct. And I'm like, but technically what I'm saying is correct. We do. So I understand that obviously we all have different backgrounds and we're all raised in different ways and we do have different financial situations. But I think if you want something enough, you can achieve it.
So guys, that was a British influencer on a podcast called A Diary of a CEO, and she went viral after that clip and got a lot of backlash. And it was basically because she was saying we got the same 24 hours in a day, not realizing her own privilege of a lot of things. All her comments on Instagram were flooded with remarks like scrolling through the 24 hours jokes, only 6 hours left guys, keep grinding, what a waste of 24 hours, how you're spending your 24 hours, 24 hour photo shoot, hope your 24 hours was okay, my 24 hours was okay, and just loads of comments you could scroll for ages. The man who interviewed her on a podcast responded by saying, Molly Mae did an interview on my podcast yesterday. A soundbite from that interview went viral. She trended #1 on Twitter, every newspaper covered it, and MPs weighed in. I've had male guests who say what she said, no one cared, but when Molly Mae says it, she's crucified. Crazy. I've become very aware of the double standard that successful women face. If I interview a man, he can brag about his money and take full credit for his success and talk about cars. If I interview successful women, she's got to tiptoe around her success and watch her words. Gender issues aside, the standard we hold Molly Mae to at 22 years old, that's figuring out her world, is absolutely dangerous. She once said that she didn't like Italian food and it trended #1 all day and was written about in every newspaper. She had to issue a public apology. 22. Molly Mae said, I wanted to come online today as normal, but I feel like before I do, I just wanted to say this. When I say or post something online, it's never with malice or ill intent. I completely appreciate that things affect different people in different ways. However, I just wanted to stress I would never intend to hurt or upset anyone by anything I say or do. I apologize to the people that have been affected negatively or misunderstood the meaning of what I said in the podcast. The intentions of the podcast were only ever to tell my story and inspire from my own experience. Love you all as always. Just recently guys, the Sidemen actually spoke about this on their podcast and gave their opinion, which was quite interesting.
Before the Love Island, the whole thing, she still was in a much stronger position than most people will ever get to. Yeah. She was able, and one thing that's actually I think stands up to me is she was able to be a YouTuber maybe 3 years ago. Like I would say, like, I remember I looked up her channel when she was first on Love Island, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest, there weren't enough views there to do that as a job. Yeah, she was able to do that as a job, and that is a privilege, and you can't I don't think it's fair to throw that away and say that you've been so, you know, hardworking. I think that is something that most people can't do. It doesn't matter how many 24 hours a person has.
It's true. Molly Mae, before she went on Love Island, she was a YouTuber and she wasn't even generating enough money to live off that by the views she was getting, but her parents supported her lifestyle and her basic needs and able to let her do that. But another family or any other household that have less money or less support would not even be able to let their kids do that. They'll be forced to go get a job and already pressured out to go find a career other than YouTube.
Most people aren't in a situation where they can start a YouTube channel and focus on that before it's earning good money. Thing is, like, my issue is that she is a person that influences so many, like, it's called influences so many young people, and I just think it's quite, I don't know, I think it's like an unhealthy mindset, because I feel like some people are going to look at that and it's going to do the opposite of motivate them. It's going to be like, you know, you're telling me to work harder, but...
See, this is the same thing I was thinking as Vicstar, is it can have that opposite effect and demotivate people who compare themselves to Molly Mae and think they have the same 24 hours in the day as her, so they're putting themselves on her standard as to what she's achieved and what they haven't. It's a big uphill battle that could lead into depression, because circumstances do play a factor into how successful you can be. But you could have a kid, you could have past trauma of situations that have affected you. There is a lot of things that people might deem excuses which do play into effect.
I feel like she's going in the intention of discussing
how to be a boss bitch or a boss.
And like financials, and like it makes sense in context. His podcast typically follows like a format of like their person's upbringing, and then how that affects them into like business life, and then how they got to their success, and then how they like achieve and maintain current success.
Yeah,
that's kind of what that podcast follows. So it makes sense how she goes those angles anyway.
Yeah. I mean, listen, in her defense, she is young and she gets held to a crazy standard, but that is the point of being an influencer. You are influencing so many people, so you got to be careful what you say, and it's not always what you say, it's the way you're intending it. I don't think she was trying to be horrible in a situation, but I also don't think she was being realistic. But at the end of the day, she was on a business podcast where they can talk about money and motivating people to get on their hustle, and that's probably what she was trying to do. But also comparing her standards and how she was brought up and her living circumstances to everyone else and us all having the same 24 hours in a day is not necessarily true. There's nothing wrong with a discussion about this and certain people being challenged on what they say, like Molly Mae, who are influencers, but some people just cross the line with the backlash. Caroline Flack's situation still seems like it hasn't taught anyone anything. You might think that Molly Mae said something stupid, out of line or wrong, but to send serious hate comments on social media at these celebrities, various people, can be crossing the line. She's only 22 years old. If you guys remember, Molly Mae's boyfriend Tommy Fury was meant to be fighting Jake Paul but pulled out of the fight due to an injury, and recently gave some updates on his own situation, on when he's returning, and a few other things.
For those of you who don't know, I've literally been in boxing my whole entire life. From as young as I can remember, always training, always running, always sparring, always fighting. It's just what I do. Eat, sleep, train and repeat. So as soon as I get the all clear for the rib and that I can go back sparring again and all that other stuff, I'll be straight back in the ring because I have got some seriously itchy knuckles. So I've got one more scan to go, one more MRI to do with the rib to see where that's at and to see how much it's healed and how long we got left. And then after that, I can jump straight back in the ring because I've already been keeping my weight down. I'm raring to go. Getting back into training is the best thing ever. I mean, for the 7-8 weeks that I had off, I just felt lost. I think that's the key word here. I mean, you take training away from any athlete and they'll tell you the same thing. The motivation side for me is very easy because when I wake up in the morning and when I close my eyes at night, the only thing I ever think about is being a world champion boxer. And I will achieve my dreams because anything is possible when you put your mind to it.
So it looks like we could be seeing Tommy Fury return to the ring again soon. I think he fumbled the bag against Jake Paul, and I don't think he wants to even do that matchup anymore. He's moving on to different opponents like Conor McGregor. But that is it for this video, guys. Make sure you subscribe with the notification bell included, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Peace out.